Your leg lock, playing with the chest chop. Haters wonder why I never tap out. A young king like DeMarcus, undertaken with a coffin. Choke slam so often. Stone Cold Steve.
Let's just get right into it. This pandemic is obviously expecting and affecting live events in sports. It's affecting WWE. So let's just call this. Let's call this what it is. This is WWE versus coronavirus. So after weeks and weeks of performing in empty arenas, WWE was not deemed essential during these weeks. But very, very recently, as of this week, the Florida government has deemed WWE essential. That's pissing a large group of people off because they're claiming WWE's being selfish and putting the wrestlers in risk to get the virus and the whole 9 yards. Then you have another group of people who are blaming WWE for, saving money and cutting costs by releasing so much people. They've released and put, a variety of behind the scenes employees on release or temporary release. So, Sammy, what the hell is your thoughts on all this chaos being caused by COVID-19 with WWE?
I definitely think it definitely forced their hands to go to drastic measures, because obviously when you see this amount of people losing their jobs, you know that it's a serious thing going on, because Vince doesn't just toss around people for no reason, especially during a time when you got a rival company right across from him. He's not the type of guy to just throw things away like a flea market. But all those guys that lost their jobs, those were guys that were liable to lose their jobs anyway. So there's no reason why everybody should look at it in a way where, oh my goodness, this is a ruthless man. This is a terrible, terrible man who doesn't care about the livelihoods of people. That's not the case. It's a case where he needs to save his money. He needs to get the most bang for his buck, because right now they're not letting him put on the show that he's used to putting on. So all in all, we just got to look at it like this is a great business move. In the words of a businessman who, he makes $1 million company happen every single year. So it has to be looked at in the same way.
Before I go and give my insight, I just need to know, because this is my perspective. And, this is a crazy pandemic, nothing like we've ever seen in our lives. And we may never, ever, hopefully we don't see something similar ever again. But I know right now we're social distancing, and it's the best thing for us to do right now overall as a world. But and the essential businesses are, the quote unquote essentials are the ones that are restaurants or food related or grocery stores or, the policemen and the firefighters. Look, I know wrestling may not be essential in that category. In the traditional sense, it's not food. It's not water. It's not soap. It's not the ambulance or the cops. But right here, right now, I really believe that wrestling is essential. I think sports across the board is essential right now. While everybody's locked up, social distancing and staying at home, some people in broken homes, some people in just homes, period, just going crazy because they got anxiety or panic or they're bored or something. In wrestling and just in general, I know it's the scripted sport, but wrestling, because of how over the top it is and because it's sports entertainment and sports, it gives people that escape, and it gives their mind a break. So from that perspective, wrestling's absolutely essential to me. Like I'm not just saying that as a fan. I just really believe it's essential. What do you believe about Florida allowing them to carry the essential label?
I mean, you definitely with the examples that you used about the firefighters and the food and all that. That's definitely right if somebody's gonna look at it that way, because WWE definitely it's not something that is life and death.
Of course not.
Yeah, but at the same time, the way I see it, man, I just applaud the great business move and the great mind of Vince. You know, to use whatever pull he got to get them to say that it's essential, because in a way it really is essential, because there is no other sport that is performing right now. There is nothing.
Exactly.
People have we literally have nothing in front of our TV screens to give us that pure entertainment, that pure rush that we like to get whenever we see something. So the Vince being able to use his pull to get this off, people just need to applaud that instead of looking at other things and saying, it's not really the worst case scenario. Yeah, we know that. Everybody knows that it's not a life and death matter. But just to get it to happen, we got to tip our hat off.
Exactly. That's where I'm at. I think from that perspective, where obviously money's a factor. They're a business. They want to ultimately make money, and they ultimately want to save money. Obviously, That's any business. But the fact that he's willing to, operate in an empty arena to begin with, and, keep the valuable assets, the wrestlers that are valuable assets on a closed set in the performance center, and basically on the fly change up the whole way he produces television and keep that going. Tip your hat to that. Like, yeah, exactly. I think we're really in a society that we're already going through negative shit, and they're just trying to look through everything in the most negative lens. Like, I get it. It's easy to point a finger of some kind, especially because, some people like to pretend that No Way Jose or Heath Slater was their favorite wrestler, and they're upset. But we all know that was nobody's favorite wrestler.
No.
Respect to those people as human beings, but that was nobody's favorite wrestlers. They posted some goodbye videos. Some of them posted goodbye videos on Twitter. And let's be honest, a lot of them knew their job was on borrowed time. Like, some of them, don't get me wrong, I'm sure it was a blind side, but you can't tell me you didn't think that you were one of those people that if releases happened tomorrow, your name would be on it. I don't feel bad for them. I feel bad for the local barbershop. I feel bad for the local hair salon. I feel bad for these local restaurants. I don't feel bad for these famous people or these wrestlers that have more of a cushion and have more money in their savings to fall back on, and that could get a job a lot faster. I don't feel bad. So all the fake woke stuff of feeling bad about people, it's a lie, man, and I'm tired of it.
It's a funny thing too, because I was just watching, Stone Cold podcast with Ric Flair, and one of the things Ric Flair said was, listen, one of the worst things about what's going on in society right now is everybody has to get the good label, or everybody has to get the great label, or everybody got to get the superstar label. No, that's not the case. There's always going to be good people, and there's always going to be some bad people. Mm-hmm. As everybody can see, the good people still got jobs. They're still there. They're still going to be seen every single week in front of a camera. Those guys just didn't perform up to standard, so they got to be the sacrificial lambs.
Yeah, it's like, why is it the worst thing in the world during a pandemic that no one seen coming to cut the dead weight in your company, but in war, in the front lines, in the army and military and stuff, that's what they're encouraged to do. Put the weaker soldiers out on the front. And it sounds heartless, but put the weaker, the people you could afford to get a little wounded, put them out there to get wounded first. And the general and the military with the ultimate game plan hang in the back. That's what every business does. If I could afford to cut this cost or cut this out, I'm going to.
Yeah.
It just so happens the lower card and the guys who were mostly not on TV anyways, they take the hit first. And you know what? I do think, when this passes, some of the releases might come back. I do think Gallows and Anderson will get rehired back because they said some of these releases may not be permanent. Some of them are like that. I think so.
I don't know.
You don't think Gallows and Anderson come back just because of their ties with AJ? AJ, they're not gonna want AJ.
Does AJ really need him?
No, but you're gonna want to the real life friendship. You're gonna want to keep AJ happy and have his boys around. I think they'll bring them back.
Okay, I can see that.
Really do think so. And they weren't doing nothing wrong. It's not like they were bad.
They weren't really interesting neither, though.
Yeah, but they were just a part of the Boneyard match. I mean, they weren't the stars, but they
just
were
to get beat up.
Yeah, they were part of it. Like
they're no different. They're no different from Scott and the other guy.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is, I take a look at them and I see those two are some of the few talents that the pandemic screwed them over. I don't think they were going to get released other than that. They got caught up in the crossfire. I think AJ Styles would have kept their job safe under normal circumstances. Rusev, I think Rusev was a hit a little bit, but the writing the writing was on the wall with Rusev, man.
What writing?
Nah, I'm saying his position in the company has been shaky for a while. He's been up and down.
Yeah, a long time.
That's why, as much as I like Rusev, I don't feel bad for him. He's been on the lower tier, not really. He hasn't consistently proved his value to the company to keep in these type of times. But he's probably the most talented person they let go.
But even him,
I expect him to be part of the front lines to take the hit. I expect him to be a part.
And I don't see a big reason to bring him back. Honestly, too, I really don't. I don't see what more can you do with him.
Here's what I want to get into. I don't want to get too far off track. Here's one thing I do want to call WWE out on. And I think it's real. I want to throw this at you, and I think this conversation it's going to be up to the sports outlets to bring more, light to this topic for something to happen. So I really think it's going to be up to ESPN, the Fox Sports, the Sports Illustrated to talk about it more for some good results to happen. So WWE, under their, current pay structure, wrestlers only get about, I believe it's between 10 to 12% of the revenue income that is made, whereas all the other major sports companies, they give their talent at least 40%. Now, I know WWE is a gray area because it's entertainment ultimately, but as the major league of professional wrestling, it's a bad look. It makes you look very stingy that your talent only gets 10% of revenue that y'all make. Do you think they need to somehow renegotiate how much percentage talent gets?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. What? So let me.
Why? Give me a good reason why.
let me get in there. Once again, let's talk about the NBA, especially the NBA, because I do think their pay structure takes care of their athletes. Some may say they take care of the lesser talent, maybe a little too much, but that's now neither here nor there. The NBA gives their talent more than enough of a cut. They give them at least 40% plus of revenue. What's holding the WWE back from paying most of their talents millions? They got the money to do it, but they save the millions only for the top guys.
I was saying, listen, these guys, they like to complain, they like to break a good thing. What I was saying is, why mess with a good thing when these guys are getting paid more than they've ever got paid, they're getting benefits more than they've ever got their benefits, they're getting health care, they get so access to more things than the other stars in the past already got access to. And the guys in the past, they were 10 times bigger stars than these guys. So now they want more. It seems like it's a greedy thing at this point.
I understand what you're saying from that perspective, meaning like the biggest stars of the past never got the benefit of getting a raised revenue percentage. I can get that, but I don't think it's an aspect of talent's not happy with how they're getting paid. I think when you really look at it, it's more of an issue as, all right, WWE, you're a major sport for professional wrestlers like the NBA is for ball players and all these other sports are for their respective leagues. Why do you have the smallest percentage? Why are you penny pinching? It's a bad look from that perspective. Why when you're the nonstop 300 plus days a year, 250 plus days a year, why can't you at least give them like 20% of revenue or 25% or even 30? Why 10? That's the bad look to me. It's
10%. Here's the reason why it's 10%, because at the same time, these other athletes that we're talking about, they either got agents or they got promoters. Vince McMahon does both things for these wrestlers, and right now, and which is extra work on him. So
That's a good point. That's actually a good point.
So why does he have to get more out of his money when he does extra work for you?
That's a good point. I didn't
literally.
That's a good point. Some of them don't sleep. Some wrestlers do hire their own personal agents to like do the deals and structure their contracts and whatnot. But I get what you're saying. That is a fair point. But I do think they deserve more. 10's a little low for what their bodies go through and the how much they're away from home. I just think you could even it out a little bit more.
You don't think they get evened out already?
The John Cena's of the world and the AJ Styles, the guys that actually make millions, I think it's evened out for them. But for like a Bobby Lashley, a upper mid card guy, or
so let me ask you this:
you think they're making enough for the amount of appearances and mileage they put on?
So let me ask you this. I'm glad you brought up the John Cena's of the world and the Rocks of the world. So do you think it's a step up your game thing, or do you think it's a war being cheap thing?
What do you mean by that?
Because who on the roster right now is resembling John Cena?
Oh no, absolutely nobody. But
so that's what I think it comes down to at the end of the day.
All right, let's take John Cena out of it. The Roman Reigns of the world. He's
not that high on the totem pole from everybody else.
Yeah, but he makes what I'm saying is people like him, people like AJ, people like Seth, the 10% doesn't affect them because they're making their millions pretty much regardless. but the rest of the roster, I could say there's guys that deserve that amount. There's guys that deserve that amount, but they're not necessarily on John Cena's level.
I'm saying the ones that it doesn't affect, they just need to take that and step up their game, so that Vince could make it even it out for them.
That's a fair point as well.
That's all it comes down to. This is a competitive sport, and to keep that fire on the people, you gotta make them earn it.
So you don't see any, especially after this and all the crying and all the unfortunate people losing jobs, you don't see them thinking about restructuring that percentage.
No, what's not broke should be fixed, and I'm always gonna keep that mentality towards things. WWE isn't broke, man.
It's not.
Listen, they're the best they've ever been.
That doesn't make it broken. That's just, making your company a little better. More wrestlers are gonna feel more amped to sign with you when they're like, damn, man, wrestlers get this now. I can make this now. I can get this type of monies now.
But see, that's the problem. You don't wanna play with nothing until you see a hole that needs to be filled. There's no hole that needs to be filled.
You mean roster-wise?
No, I mean in terms of the whole structure of the company.
Yeah.
It's
going to be interesting, though, wherever this continues to take us. I expect there to be more releases to come, honestly. I don't think this is over.
You think more?
To save money, to cut probably a lot of NXT heads, that weight.
I think the people that was released already, I think that should already be like enough, man.
There's still some fat to cut out.
Really?
You don't think? I'm not wishing it upon them, but I could see them cutting out a Titus O'Neil, those types.
He's a good ambassador.
I know, but that's why I think they might keep him. He does mad work for them.
Yeah,
he's valuable behind.
They get to bring him around all these children programs.
He does a lot.
He definitely has a job for life.
But there's still people on there that's like not seen like that, like Dana Brooke, those type of people, like that don't do a lot. Akira Tozawa.
Yeah. a lot of that 205 Live.
Yeah. They got rid of a lot of them today, but a lot of the rest of them, like
a lot of that 205 Live should expect to go. A lot of it.
But
they should probably just stop that whole thing.
Nah, for real though. This is gonna make them stop it. It's a wrap, but
I really don't see any reason to go any further with that. I was against it from the start, man.
I like the Cruiserweight Championship. I don't like 205 Live. I like the Cruiserweight Championship. It's a fun little championship to give you those.
They could keep the championship,
those high spot matches. Those gives the guys that are 205 and under a goal. It gives them a title to chase. I think it's all right.
I agree with the title being there. I just once that show started, I was just against.
Yeah, nobody's gonna tune into that. I don't know why they tried, but nobody's gonna tune into a 1 hour show that isn't must see.
No attractions at all.
But it's definitely going to be interesting to see what this virus, what changes cause, good or bad, what changes are forced to be made because of this virus, man. This is crazy, man. It's changing the game in so many different ways for everybody.
No, yeah, it really is. I mean, I was just saying today to somebody, like, I don't think I've ever seen something quite like this. You know what I mean? Like, quite
never
agree that affected this much, it affected this much of a daily life thing. Because I'm rolling around these streets, man, and I barely see cars. You know, I'm just not used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, for the most part, you know, you still got those people acting dumb, but for the most part, everybody's listening. Mostly people are at home. It's just working home. The grocery stores, literally, all you see is masks on faces. It just shows you how quick people collectively, you know, adapt and have to adapt and catch on to things. Everybody has some sort of protection because you basically have to. It's just different. Like, yo, you know, I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to sound dark, but all those movies that they were showing us in those churches growing up about when they get left behind and then they run to the store and have to get groceries and this chaos and people are scared and they usually in those movies they show you those type of things after the rapture and they call it the tribulation. I think that shit's right now, bro. We're living in this, we're watching this shit right now, bro. The great tribulation like shit. That shit's scary, bro.
Don't talk like that.
Nah, I'm not. By any means, I'm with the Lord, man. God is good. I'm with God. I'm doing mine to stay connected to God. But man, it just makes me wonder, like, did all those movies get it wrong? Like, is that time really certain periods of time on Earth, not after, you know, Christ comes?
Yeah.
It feels like, yo, we're witnessing some of it. Like,
yeah, well, part of it, right? It's just it's strange, man. I just never seen something so strange in a long,
scary.
Time.
It's scary.
It's crazy.
It's strange. It makes many paranoid. It brings out ugliness. It's bringing out greed. Like, it's weird, man. I hope it ends.
Absolutely.
We need basketball back. We need fans in arenas. We need people to be able to go to strip clubs. Damn, man. That's crazy. But let us know what you think about WWE versus COVID-19.